I miss Kalaji today because both of us would have liked to say this. He told this particular thing to both of us at different parts of our life. He said both of you have learned from great gurus, have assimilated a whole lot of things socially, ecologically, musically in your lives. Do not be somebody else's voice in your music. Put all that you have learned together and find the voice of your instrument through your experiences. So that's when we really stopped resonating the voices of our gurus. We took those learnings, those experiences, and we are trying to find our voice through our instruments. So both of us, he is a guru for both of us. So I speak on behalf of both of us that we hope we do justice to the concept.
The way Jayanthi ji and Kalaji have come together is something of a wondrous thing to watch. I was like, how are these two great artists going to get along? I mean, I thought about it, but I had no idea how it was going to work. But the way they took to each other and the way, because it was open mind, and the way they accepted my thought, idea, and brought it to fruition, I thank my lucky stars that they happened. That kind of joy of discovery is something that I hope the audience would look for, would focus on, with no preconceived thoughts in mind. Not like Zakir Hussain does that horses run or a shank or something, we're going to hear that. No, this is something else.
The way the system comes is long notes is Hindustani, basically. So, but in Carnatic, you said short phrases. So, stitching these two together, he does. So, when he plays in Triveni, when I play, he plays like a mridangam. When Kalaji plays, he plays like a tabla. So, when he does his solo, it's like a mridangam tabla Kanyavartan. So it's not just Zakir by playing for two systems. It is he wears a different hat when both these things come. When we did this US tour, we were wondering how this is going. When he said, "Okay, after your piece, there is a point when the river meets the main river, and there is a point." So until we actually played it and we heard it, only then the Triveni Sangam happened.
Wonderful. Yeah, but it's also a mindset. I mean, Jayanthi ji is an artist par excellence. I mean, one of the foremost representative of this particular tradition, and so is Kalaji. But to have a mindset where that is left behind, and all three of us just become fellow students or fellow discoverers or hikers on a trail to go discover a new lake or a new vista point to see what else is out there and enjoy those views and inculcate and help each other. I mean, when you're walking on a very dry kind of a very narrow trail, you have to help each other get by, get over a pothole, or climb up a little rock. Just lower each other down slowly down the slope. All these actions, just imagine all this happening musically, rhythmically. And that's not possible unless the three of us, without any selfish idea in mind, totally with openness, with willingness, allow each other to be able to, be a part of this incredible experience that we are all having together. And that can only happen if I drop the idea of, I'm tabla maestro Zakir Hussain, and I will only do what the tabla does, and this is what my ustad or my guru taught me, and that's what it's going to be. And same thing with Jayanthi ji or Kalaji. That's got to get out of the window. The mindset has to be open.
Yes.
And if it means I have to play veena like as if I'm playing a bass guitar, or a chord on a electric guitar or a piano, then that's what I will do to make things work. And if you have that open mind, your mindset is that way. It's not creating boundaries by saying, Teen Tal it is and that's it. Or Mohanam is only played this way and not that way, so I'm going to just do this. No. So when we open up like that, then the experience is a collective one, and the ecstasy of that union musically is something that cannot be replicated in words. And what's great about it is that we experience it, the audience experiences it, and then we walk away knowing that this is an experience that was private between all of us. It will never happen this way again. And that's, in that way, it's unique. And so that's what Triveni is. It's a union of how should I say, 3 newborn babies with a totally blank mind, which then builds this world. And that is a collective imagination of these 3 people. And in doing so, brings into play, or brings into the conversation, the audience as well. And then the world becomes one. It's amazing because someone like me, when I was playing and learning music, I only had this much available for me to see, this much. Because in Indian music libraries, there were no records, there were no books. There was, I mean, we had to like scour the length and breadth of Mumbai, go from shelf to shelf in the rhythm house in Mumbai to find some record of something, of some maestro, so that we could get some information, or some jazz guy, or some rock and roll, or something, so that we could get some inspiration to see how the rest of the world thinks of music. So when I was learning, and I was 20-some years old, I had to restart learning after having arrived in Europe and America, what that music was all about, and how should I interact with it, how should I assimilate that information, how should I emulate that information through my instrument. It was a whole new process of learning. But today's young musicians, and that's a great thing for them, it's an advantage, they grow up simultaneously learning music, not just of India, but all the world. And so they are able to compare and create in a very, like one form. So if they're learning Rag Bhopali, Mohanam, a pentatonic scale, they are able to immediately compare it to some pentatonic scale from Japan or from China or something. And they find recordings right there on the YouTube or Facebook or everything, and they're able to then put all that together and find multiple ways to be able to express these notes, and are able to sit and wear hats of all different languages of music that exist. And so by the time they are 25 years old, they are already solidly known as universal musicians. We didn't have that advantage. So when I see these young musicians performing and I see them doing this, and I say, my God, how are they? Rakesh Chaurasia or Jayanthi Kumaresh or Ganesh Kumaresh ji and all, you can put them in the center of a symphonic orchestra and they will not be out of place. Not at all. Fit right in, just perfectly. That was not possible 35 years ago, 40 years ago. So to see that and the way the music is growing in India, and the way its awareness and the way its expression and the way its language and musicality is growing is marvelous to watch, and it is, it's like satisfying to see that it's moving forward the way it should. And for my case, it's moving a little too fast because I'm not able to keep up. But it's great. It's great to see this happening. The first few months were very difficult. We were like in limbo, had no idea what was going to happen. So all was like wait and see game. But a few, 3 months or so into it, I felt that something positive needs to be done. So I started connecting with students of music and musicians all over the world on Instagram. I started to, on every Thursday, do an Instagram thing where I would go on live and, not for money. It wasn't charged, it was free. And I would play a little, I would talk about music. And so that's how it began. And one thing led to another. We started to find ways to be able to interact with musicians in different parts of the world. And then once that connection was established, then, hey, why not make music together? And then, hey, why not make records together? And so a new way of using technology emerged. And you won't believe this, but in this pandemic period, I've made 3 records. 3 full records with musicians who I was not with in the same room, but we yet made the records. I made a record with Shankar Mahadevan and John McLaughlin, right? And then I made a record with my Grateful Dead friend Mickey Hart called Planet Drum. That's coming up. I made a record with Dave Holland and Chris Potter, the great jazz musicians. And all that has happened. And we're making a record with Shakti, John McLaughlin, and all of us. And all this has been going on, and we haven't been in the same room with each other. It's a way of being able to use the technology available to be able to still keep the interaction going. And what's great is that now we've gotten to a point where I'm able to play a concert with a musician in a different country, live. And that is amazing. I played a concert. I was sitting in my studio in the San Francisco area. Niladri Kumar, the sitar player, was sitting on the stage in Prithvi Theatre, and we played live together. And the audience was sitting in Prithvi Theatre. And Niladri Kumar was on a riser. There was another riser with a big, huge monitor, and I was projected in that. And we were playing live together, and the audience could watch us. And it was happening. I mean, it was like, wow. There was no latency, no delay. Through some magic of softwares like TeamViewer and God knows what else. Anyway, so that's happening. We were doing Zoom classes. I would have tabla students in many different countries, 50, 60 of them all. So technology has really expanded our mind, our horizon, and we are able to see that it doesn't matter if you're stuck at home. You can still, do that which you're doing. More importantly for me, it was a matter of introspection. I was able to go back, and that I thank my lucky stars. I have cassettes of when I used to sit with my father, and he would be teaching, we'd be playing, and we'd be teaching and talking about music and whatnot and everything. And somehow I was like going through the process of digitizing everything, and then there's a whole bunch of cassettes, and I was listening to it, and it was a revelation. And the reason for that is when I was 18, 19, 17, 15, whatever, he would teach me something, I'd get it right away. I mean, I was good at getting that information and I'd play it. And, the moment was exciting. Everything was done. Okay, what next? But I never took the time to be able to understand what I had just played, to get an in-depth look at it, to see all the dimensions that were there, all the layers that were there. I just played it because I could. So this 2 years, I was going back through those cassettes, and it was like watching him when I was listening to it. And I don't know, without even making an effort, I was able to see different shades in the compositions, because my visual connection and my, how should I say, analysis ability was much better now than it was when I was 17 and 18. And suddenly a whole new way of looking at these compositions, these patterns, these rhythmic ideas emerged. And I found myself just going through every cassette, quickly, and it was just amazing to have this reconnecting with my youth and my time with my father. He used to, since I was 7 years old, he would take me. There was a mosque, a shrine near our house, like 100 feet away, and he'd take me there at 3 o'clock in the morning. We sit there was a bench there in front of the door of the shrine, and between 3:30 till the first prayer, which was around 5:45 in the morning, he would talk to me about tabla, tell me about a composition, and then with that composition, the whole history of who's composed it, where it came from, what it meant, how it was developed, where it is today, all that information. As a young man, it just sat somewhere here. And listening to those cassettes, it all came forward. And suddenly a new understanding, well, not a new understanding, the understanding that I should have had then presented itself. So that's what's happened with the pandemic. It's been, in a way, a blessing of sorts from the creative part, but also from my growth as a musician.